Are we on air or still on the off mode? Okay.
Yeah, we are on air now.
Vaheguru. Okay. I think last time we discussed this body by every pankti and the main themes which emerged, and then we had some questions regarding the Amrit Vela. So today our main focus would be to review those questions. If I correctly understand, that was the reason for having the second time reviewing this body, particularly Amrit Vela. So is Amrit Vela a time, or how important it is? We were to discuss this part. If Dilpreet ji could add more on that.
Ravinder Singh, can you hear us now?
Hanji, Vaji Khalsa, Vaji Fateh ji.
Hanji, Vaji Khalsa.
Can you hear me?
Hanji, perfect.
ठीक है जी. Hanji, Veer ji, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ ਗੱਲ.
जी, I was just filling on the gap, so you can continue. The reason for the second review of this body primarily was to discuss more in details about the Amrit Vela. So you can carry forward from there.
ठीक है जी. Who all do we have on the call, Harvinder? I can only see. I can see you. I see a couple of faces I don't recognize, and there are no names associated with them.
Dilpreet ji are there.
Acha ji.
Can you see him?
No, I don't see him.
I think we have Dilpreet Singh ji, Charan Singh Veer ji from Toronto, Harinder Veer ji from New Jersey, Puneet Singh and Ripu Daman Singh.
Puneet Singh and Ripu Daman Singh. ठीक है जी. So I think some of us were Vaji ka Khalsa, Vaji ki Fateh. I apologize, not that text heavy.
Yeah, I think we again lost him. Harinder Veer ji, can you hear us?
Hanji.
Okay, so I think you also got disconnected. So we already have one session on body 4, and we discussed the overview of the message in body 4, and then we had a couple of questions regarding the Amrit Vela, and then so we wanted to have another session to make sure that we can go in more depth in this body. So Ravinder Singh ji, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, you can continue ji.
ठीक है जी. So coming to the point, actually, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਪੌੜੀ ਦੀ ਥੋੜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਿਆਖਿਆ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ, and the feeling was that we want to actually come back to it. So let me very quickly summarize for the participants and just at least refresh your memory and my own. Okay, we have talked essentially about, there was a lot of discussion around what is Amrit Vela. Is it clock time? Is it a lifetime? Or is it some other time? And the general feeling amongst the participants on that day was that yes, it is actually refers to the early morning hours. There was a fairly strong dominant theme that ran along those lines, even though there was some concession made that, well, what about those who actually are working during that time? How does it work for them? And I think some concession was made, but nonetheless, that remains an open topic. There was also the point of Vichaar versus Simran, because in this body, Amrit Vela Sachna Vadiyai Vichaar has been used, which is, so we were trying to understand the difference between.
And I think we again lost him. So I think last time we have Dilpreet Veer ji, you were there in the session?
No, sorry, man, I missed the last one.
Okay, I think Charan Singh Veer ji were there, and I think Puneet Singh was also not there, and I believe Ripu Daman Singh ji was there. So I think until the Ravinder Singh ji joined back, if you can, Dilpreet Veer ji, if you can give your take on what is the message in body 4, and what do you think as Amrit Vela? Is it a clock time, or so? From your point of view, if you can give your feedback.
Anji. So the way I look at this is that whenever we make a presentation or we try to write something down, we always make sure that the message is flowing. If I am making a PowerPoint presentation, we make sure that what we talk on first slide, the message flows in a way that audience get it. So on the same ground, if we look at Japji Sahib, each Pauri is building on the previous Pauris or is the further explanation of that. So the way I see this one is, in the first Pauri, there is a question and then there is an answer given to that. Now, first Pauri asks the question that Kiv Sachiara hui hai, then the answer is given Hukam Rajai Chalana Nanak Likhya Naal. And then the second body makes it very clear that Nanak hukme je bujata home kahe na koi. So it gives us a hint that hukam cannot be explained, it cannot be documented, but the way to approach is that we have to, bujjan wali gal hai, we have to solve this riddle. And now the next bodies are giving us some hints and it is leading towards it is giving us a framework or a process or a way how to solve this that riddle, so that once we solve it, it becomes our own understanding of that riddle. Then it does not, then even Guru Nanak will be out, we will get the message, so we will solve it ourselves if we try to follow the path and the pointers. So now the third body, if we look at that, is it is saying, it gives us little bit more definition that hukmi hukam chalaye raho nanak bikse ve pravaho, that the beliefs which were there, that somebody sings him or somebody thinks this is what that the hukam is, or this is what how Vaheguru behaves, but at the end it points out that this is a system which is running and Vaheguru is not involved in that system. He is not involved in the micromanagement of the system. The system runs on its own. And then the fourth body, as in every body, right, we have that that these beliefs are not true. Now the fourth body is giving us the message that everybody used to believe that dan pun is the way or the donation is the way. So now this body condemns that or gives a message that this is not the way to approach it. And then at the end it gives us a little bit more hint towards solving that riddle, that Amrit Vela Sach Nao Vadiyai Vichaar Karmi Ave Kapda Nadri Muktwar Nanak Eve Janiye Sab Ape Satyar. So the way I look at this Amrit Vela is, it is telling us that we have to put some effort to understand this now. And now once we put that effort, so Amrit Vela is a symbolism of that the most important thing or the first thing which we have to do is, or the most important thing in our life is to put some effort, and that is the first thing we have to do. And then the effort is that we have to try to understand by discussion that what that naam is or what Vaheguru is. And then if we try to put some effort, that is how we will get his blessings. And then once we put our effort, the results will be that we will get to understand that he is prevailing everywhere and his existence is there. Nanak ave janiye sab ape sachar, that all this creation everywhere is Vaheguru. So the way I take that is that Amrit Vela is that yes, the first thing which we have to do in the morning, and at the same time it is the most important thing which we have to do, and it is symbolism that we have to put some effort and we have to do vichar. That's how we will solve the riddle, and it is taking us one step further closer towards the towards the understanding of the Swarup of Vaheguru. And then in next bodies it will become more and more clear. So it is one more dot which we need to connect.
Okay, so are you saying that the Amrit Vela is the early morning hours?
I think the way I see this is that this is the first priority which we have, and it has to be our first priority, and it can be any time. It does not say mean that because there are many beliefs now that I was listening somewhere that it says that if you do Simran in between 2 to 4 a.m. ਤਾਂ ਉਦੋਂ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਦਰਵਾਜ਼ੇ ਖੁੱਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਫਿਰ then one ਦਰਵਾਜ਼ਾ ਬੰਦ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ then at 6 o'clock everything is closed. So it is not that Guru Nanak is not going into all those beliefs. So it is not a particular time. To me, it is the first priority, and it is the first thing we have to do, or it is the most important thing which we have to do.
So when you say we have to do, so do what? Do Simran, do Path, do Kirtan, or Vichar? So what is your take on the word Amrit Vela Sachna Vadiyai Vichar? So what we have to do?
The way I see this is that whole Gurbani is a teaching for us. So every line has to make us more satyara, that it has to teach us something, that how we can become more satyar, and how we can break this kurdi pal, how we can break that wall. So every line or every shlok is a teaching to make us satyara and to will help us in breaking that false wall so that we can see the Vaheguru Swarup. So the repetition, I don't think that repetition will help us understand that, or it will not give us that knowledge. It is that the discussion and the understanding of that and applying of that knowledge will show us the path.
Okay, ji. Thank you very much, ji. I think I will go now to Harinder Veer ji. If you can summarize your thoughts on this body and specifically on Amrit Vela and which activities we should be are referring in this body.
Sure. I guess I'll focus on the two words because body di vyakhya da fir lamba choda kam ho jaga. So the discussion is more or less, or I guess if there are seemingly conflicting ideas, it's on Amrit Vela and the word Vichaar. So I'm an etymology fan. So Amrit di pehla ta etymology samjhan di lod a, for Vela ta time a bada simply. So Amrit is coming from Mrit, and I don't know if it was described earlier, but it's opposite of Mrit. So anything Mrit is death, beyond death is the idea, and when we are looking at the context of it, I'm going to bring first a general Sikhi context, because Sikha ne is the phrase nu adopt kar liya. So we have Amrit Sanchar, Amrit Vela, Amrit Kirtan, Amrit Naam, Amrit, you fill in the blank, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, the institutional framework of this in our tradition has become anything which helps us identify with the immortal, is how I have understood the tradition to be. So when we say Amrit Vela, this is the time to help us identify with the immortal, is the general sort of a take I have on it. Now, if I bring Bhai Gurdas into it and Bhai Nandlal, and I'll stick only to those, because those are the two secondary ones tradition accepts. So Bhai Gurdas ji has described what is this Amrit Vela, and within Guru Granth Sahib we get some corroboration in it too. And generally the phrase then shows up as Pichal Rati. So although we are not the people of techniques and prescriptions, but there is a general recommendation. This is the time, if you involve the Indian classical music theories and two schools of that, the rough time becomes between 4 and 7, because one school believes it's 3 to 6, the other believes it's 4 to 7. People like me think it's sometime between 3 and 7. So that's the technical answer. Now, what does this mean to me? Well, what it means is that what Veerji earlier was saying, that really we are not the people of prescription. What this is saying is we need something to identify with the immortal. What is that time? The recommendations are, there are all sorts of things that if you can do it, Pichal Rati, which is after the night, which essentially is the first Pahar, and that's the deduction I have based on what I've studied. But that is not a prescription, that is a recommendation. Because ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਜੁੜ ਗਈ ਨਾ, ਸੱਚ ਨਾਉ ਕਿ ਉਹਦਾ ਅਟਲ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਉਹਦਾ ਮੀਨਿੰਗ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਸੱਚ ਤੇ ਨਾਉ ਦਾ, ਤੇ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਜੁੜ ਗਈ ਆ। ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਉੱਥੇ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਣ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਉਹਦੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਇਹ ਵੇਲਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੰਭਾਲਿਆ ਜਾਊ so this is not a pranayam techniques of the old Indic thought where you are only repeating particular ideas. This is saying use the time in the morning to deliberate, to reflect on the divine attributes is what I'm understanding.
Thank you. And then what is your take on like using this time to do part alone, or you think this essay that we are always encouraged to go to Sangat, that this is a time that we can meet with Sangat and like do Kirtan, Asadivar, and then Shabad Vichar, or you think this is a personal time between us and Vaheguru and then we can like do it on our own?
So, again, tradition maintains, even if you follow the Sikh Rahat Maryada system, that generally there is a alone time before you have a Sangat time. This is like a Nitnem was used to be Shaksi Rani, and then a Panthak Rani, you have Vaisakhi Var, which used to show up at the Gurdwaras. So I think that's what the tradition used to maintain. But Janique gal mainu samjh aayi hai ki this hai, this is the time for you to reflect on, to deliberate on, and the deliberation could be a self-reflection, it could be with other people. They're saying use the time in the morning, but this is not a prescription if you don't use this time. Idea is to identify with the immortal. So I don't think there is a clear-cut indication of, because we are not the people of prescription, we got to be very careful with the foundational understanding of Sikhi. But outside of prescriptions, we do have recommendation. So this time is for personal development, as well as part of it needs to go towards communal sort of a reflection. And that's how traditional Sikhs had interpreted. And we do find anecdotes and sakhiyan. And even while growing up as a child, I would see that why did people go to Gurdwara in the morning after they took care of their personal nitnames? So there is that. We see that in the last 30 years, we have sort of lost it worldwide. But even 30 years ago, you could see reminiscences of this, a combination of both Shaksi as well as Panthak Rani coming together in the morning.
Okay, thank you, Vijay. Thank you very much. I think next, Ripu Thomasingji, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I think you're following the conversation, so like if you can provide your feedback.
Sure. Actually, I think so. The Sangat has, said almost everything that needs to be said, and I'm kind of in agreement with that. I like the word that we are not, the phrase that we are not a prescriptive, religion of prescriptions, but recommendations. I completely agree with that statement here. I just wanted to make a couple of observations. Number one is that the word Amrit Vela is being used first time, right, in this body, without any explanation to its meaning as of now. So I'm actually assuming that as we go, in the rest of the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, there will be probably references to Amrit Vela which can shed light to what the recommendation is, if not prescription, right? So I don't know personally those Bani phrases, but other people I hope can contribute to that. The second thing is that I think so Guru Amardas Ji also, Pai Gurdas Ji and Pai Nandlal Ji very clearly gave this recommendation that rising up early and then focusing or vadiyai vichar karna is actually kind of the recommendation that is there. So again, it's not a prescription, it is a recommendation, which I completely concur with. Now I have a question here, that such now vadiyai vichar, is it like such now comma vadiyai vichar, or is it such now the vadiyai the vichar? So if somebody also could shed light on that, I'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Harinder Ji, do you know the according to Vyakaran, the where is the comma here? Or Charan Singh Ji, do you know the answer to this question? Like, is there a comma after this? Such now?
Well, my understanding is that the bisram or the comma or the pause, that we should not suggest to anybody, and that every person has a direct relationship with the Guru and seek the direct guidance from the Guru right there. And there comes the role of research, which to me is much more profoundly grounded in Gurbani rather than the words like prescription or recommendation. When we research, we don't fall in these two categories. I straight and strongly uh, bring this to your attention. If we have not researched the Gurbani clearly, we might categorize them into two prescription or recommendation terms. The more we research, the more relationship we develop with the Guru as a direct relationship. No secondary source is involved in that. And then Guru tells you where to put the Visram. Until then, everything is okay. Everything is evolving. Every person's understanding is evolving. So if you look at me, the way I would have said it, such now, is the naam di vadiyai hai sari. And in the very first line, Guru Sahib has given a very clear hint, Sacha Sahib, Sach Nae, Pakhya, Pao Apar. The language of communication between the creator and the creator naam is the only vadiyai, is the only pao, is the only preet dori, is only the love between the two. Rest everything is, you know, maran loka. Oh, that's everything is perishable. These two entities, Sacha Sahib and Sacha Nai, these two are the eternal things. These are inseparable. This is the kind of love one has to have in one's mind, and that's the type of such and the Vidyai of such that is rendered through the Naam and the relationship and the language of communication between these two entities, Sach, Sacha Sahib and Sachna. So my take is like that, but I respect everybody's take. I would encourage them to research more and create direct relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, ji. Thank you very much. And I can see Parminder Singh ji with us. Can you hear us? Parminder? No. Okay. Ravinder Singh ji, are you back?
I hope so.
Okay. So yeah, I think, yeah, we can hear you fine. I think so. So far, what we did was that whoever was not there in the last session, so Dilpit Virji, Harinder Virji, and Ripudaman Singh ji, they given their feedback on what they think on 44 and Amrit Vela. And I know you have some specific questions that we wanted to go last time.
Well, I think that you should carry on, and I will just interject because I don't trust this system is not very trustworthy today. It keeps kicking me out.
I think you do great job. I think so. If you get disconnected, then I will take over.
Okay. So I think the question I heard was, Vishram kithe hai? Just to get that, this is convention. I'm not a grammarian, but essentially the Vishram is at Amrit Vela, Sach now, Vadiyai Vichaar, for whatever it is worth. However, the larger question is, I think, we've been debating what does Amrit Vela mean, and there's a lot of back and forth on it. And I heard Harinder very briefly before I got cut off again. He was talking about prescriptive versus a recommendation. And I tend to agree with him that there really are no hard and fast prescriptions here. Gurbani really is an invitation to all of us. It is really an invitation, and it's up to us to whether we accept the invitation or not, is how I see it. So I don't see that this is a prescription of any kind. But there's another thing that I want to throw out to the Sangat, and that is this. I think Harinder also mentioned something, that there's this practice of that there's this convention of individual practice followed by a communal Sangat that was very prevalent in our, at least until 30 years ago. And I absolutely agree with him, because my parents and even me as a young boy had this practice. However, where I live today, it's no longer possible because there are no neighborhood gurdwaras, which was the case at least in India for a while. So what I want to put out to the panel there is the fact that we are living a different rhythm of life, the fact that we are living in a different geography where we don't have the ability to meet communally, would this not suggest that we need to be open enough to devise new practices, both individually and in a communal setting? I want to just open that up. I can't see the names, Harvinder, so why don't you just go out and go down the list of names?
Sure, I think first we can go to Dilpreet Virji. And I think, let me give you the names anyhow. We have Dilpreet Virji, Charan Singh Virji, Harinder Virji, Parminder, Puneet Singh Ji, and Ripudaman Singh Ji.
So Dilpreet, if you can just sort of take off from where Harinder left, where he says that these practices have died out, to the question I'm trying to pose. So does it not follow that we should perhaps build new practices consciously instead of insisting to everyone that, hey, we have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, that is right. I think I am in agreement that if something is not working out or it is not possible in the environment in which we are in now, then we have to be open. And I think that is why Guru Nanak Dev Ji or our entire Sikh philosophy is based on the adoptions, and it is not prescribing things, because if you prescribe something, it is going to change over time, and if the environment changes, then that prescription cannot be adopted anymore because the conditions have changed. So that is where I think we have to, where Harinder Veer ji left was that ये गुणा दी गल है that ਉਹਦੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਸਲਾਹ ਕਰਨੀ, and we have to see how we can attain those qualities, and this is one of the medium to get to that understanding. And Amrit Vela, Vadiyai Vichaar, and then doing the communal thing as a community, and now with this where we are in the electronic world, now we are using the cyber Sangat, and we have to explore other options to learn and then to reflect upon, and we have to use all the mediums which are available to us and see that how we can still get the same benefit. The medium can be different, but the benefit is the important thing which we have to see, which can be achieved. If it can be achieved any other way, I think we should be open for that.
Yes. Thank you. Harinder, are you there?
Hanji, ਇੱਥੇ ਹੈਗਾ.
You know, the point that you made, I want to sort of dwell on that a little bit, because we are actually using technology and we are meeting at 8:30 in the evening, but I think we are doing Vichaar and we are reflecting in some senses. So I would like you to elaborate a little more and perhaps suggest ways that we can develop new practices, both individually and as a community.
Sure. So I want to mention one thing. I think earlier it says Gurbani Manu Veerji Dana Charan Singh. I think he was talking about that. We have limitations of vocabulary when we are talking. So it is not really prescriptive recommendation. ਜਿਹੜੇ term ਨੇ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ discussion ਸੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. I think larger audience ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਸ forum ਤੇ ਹੈਗਾ, we all agree. We are working, we are encouraging and inspiring people to develop a direct relationship with the Guru. There's no question on that. But people need different things to get there. कोई संगत करके आ जाता, कोई grammar पढ़ के आओ, कोई सेवा करके आ जाओ. So we are just discussing various ways to encourage those things. At the end of the day, we want direct relationship. Anything less is not what Guru Nanak Sahib was after. It would have been Brahminical otherwise. So what do we do? I think, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ example ਲੈ ਲਈਏ, for two of them, it's Amrit Vela right now, if they're joining from India. Yeah. So the concept of time ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾ, ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ era system ਜਾਂ ਯੁਗ system ਜਾਂ ਵਕਤ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਸੋ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੋਏ ਵਾੜੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਚ ਵੀ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਾਂਗੇ, I think it's really beyond that. So what can we do? I'll just come to that quickly. I mean, obviously there are these cyber forums ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ encourage ਕਰਨੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ ਛੋਟੇ groups ਦੇ ਲਈ. And when I say ਛੋਟਾ group, that's again coming out of historical gurdwaras. They're always very small in size. ਸਾਡੀਆਂ deliberations ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ. Problem ਇਹ ਆ, ਵਿਚਾਰ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਦੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਉਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ. So I think we need to encourage that, whether you're in a locale, whether it's somebody's house, whether it's 5 houses in the neighborhood, or whether it's 10 people getting online and doing it. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ larger ਕੰਮ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ ਜੋੜ ਮੇਲੇ ਵਾਲਾ, ਉਹ ਸਾਲ 'ਚ 2 ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ. ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜੋੜ ਮੇਲੇ ਹੋਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਹੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੀ. So obviously if you're partying all the time, you're not going to do any work. And that's what how I feel is happening in the Sikh world, that we are essentially having jod melas, which are supposed to be a couple of times a year. So I would say you can find 10 other people in the neighborhood or in the city, or 10 other people in some Google Hangout or whatever else is available. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੈ ਲਓ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਐਨੈਕਡੋਟ ਯਾਦ ਆ ਗਿਆ, I'll use that. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਦਾਲ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਸਵਾਦ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, ਜੇ ਤੜਕਾ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਖਾਓ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਵਾਦ ਆ. So this is what it is. One of the words in Punjabi vocabulary for morning is ਤੜਕਾ. So ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਵਾਦ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਤੜਕੇ ਦੀ ਕੁਝ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ.
Thank you, and I'll come back to you with some follow-up questions. Let me move on to Puneet Singh. Are you on? He isn't. How about Ripudaman Singh?
Hanji, I think it goes without saying that we need to develop new ways, because times change and constraints change, and accordingly then one has to adapt. And all the gurus in their times have adapted according to the situation around. There's enough historical proof of that. And definitely what we are doing right now is, at least to me, Vadiyai Vichaar. So, so this is one of the new ways to do that, new forum.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. Charan Singh Virji?
Virji, I have first, I agree with Harinder Virji that that's the way he has explained. I'm pretty satisfied with that. I would like to say to the panelists one thing. If by doing the Vichaar, we have not been able to converge to the grounded thesis in Gurbani, which to me is expressed in the very first line of this Pauri, Sacha Sahib, Sach Nai. And the communication between Sacha Sahib and Sach Nai is unchangeable, is unbreakable, is permanent, right? And that is what is defined as Pao in Gurbani. So if we have not been able to converge to this thesis of the relationship of Naam and the importance of Naam, then probably we need to first look at how to do a better Vichar rather than to jump to devise new techniques or new adaptation of the new methods to accomplish the same thing. For example, ਦਹੀਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਉਬਾਲ ਕੇ ਮਾੜਾ ਮੋਟਾ ਠਰਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਗਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਉਹ ਦਹੀਂ ਜੰਮਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ. ਔਰ ਉਹ ਜਾਗ ਲਗਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੈ, ਐਜ਼ ਪਰ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ, it is in the morning hour, ਚੌਥੇ ਪਹਿਰ ਸਬਾਹ ਕੇ. If we get more into the Gurbani Panktiyan that validates this, then probably our Vichar will be more based on Gurbani and Gurbani only, rather than taking out other secondary sources and trying to arrive at a conclusion which serves our which are too convenient to us. Je jaag sanu nahi lagi, that means we have to get up in the morning and get that jaag, and that for jaag we have to go to the Sangat also, which has that. ਜਿਵੇਂ ਬੋਕੀ ਦੀ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨੇ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ 'ਚ ਬੋਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਅੱਗ ਬੁੱਝ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਜਗਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਅੱਗ ਮੰਗ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਸੀ. It is the same culture still prevailing the same way. We will get the power of Guru and Naam, and everything will start triggers in Amrit Vela only. ਚਾਹੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੱਖ ਯਤਨ ਕਰ ਲਈਏ, ਦਿਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਉਹ ਜਾਗ ਲੱਗ ਗਈ, then it is a process. Then one goes to the Athe Pair Simran. Then one goes to the reflection all the time. Then Guru har cheez is discern lag panda. But initially it has to start from the Amrit Vela. That's just my take. Thank you.
जी ठीक है जी.
Ravinder Singh ji, can I quickly ask a question here?
Please do.
Actually, I kind of completely agree with what was just spoken, but I have one question on Sach Nai. The Nai is being referred to as now, and I typically read Professor Sahib Singh's Vyakhya, and he refers it to as Nyay or Niyam or Insaf, So could you clarify on that, whether to interpret Sach Nai as Naam or Nyay or Niyam?
Jivaji, I would suggest you to first search the two words Pakhya and Pau collectively. Search it together. You would find 2-3 references from Bhai Gurdas Ji's and one this reference. And eventually, when you explore Sach Nai, see, I'm very respectful to whosoever has done the grammar part of it. They are Sikh luminaries, Bhai Sahib Singh ji and others, all are respectable. But my point is, when we do our own dig into the Gurbani ocean, we find that the way our understanding is evolving, Gurbani is leading us towards that in a more profound and more rich way. So from me, Sach Nai, Sach Now, Sach Naam are the different aspects where the presence of Naam is mentioned in the human mind, in the human body, then it is reflected as Nai. So it's again a little bit, for me these are synonyms. For me, Sach Nai is synonymous with Sach Naam, Sach Now, Sach Nai, Sach Name. Everything is synonymous, but in different perspectives. Like, are we talking about the Naam that is dwelling internally? When we connect with that, then the Naam is external also. Then what is the connection? That is the Naam Mamme Ankar.
Thank you, Virji. I do want to interject here. I think going back to Harinder's point, कि reflection ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ पे करने ਆ, ਕੋਈ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ grammar ਦੀ ਖਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਵਾ ਦੀ, and so on. So I think that the question that was raised and the answer that is being sought from a grammar point of view, it seems to me, I think that it is only fair that we offer whatever we can in terms of what is Nai here. So I know that Harinder is on, and I've got his latest Guru Granth Sahib, its language and grammar, sitting right in front of me, so he's the logical person to go to. So Harinder Singh.
Virgin ne jo kiha ji, same hi hai. They are synonyms, at least from a language and grammar perspective. Okay. But obviously, it derivatives ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਰੂਪ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਫਰਕ, so only the form is different. But for our purposes, because I want to remind everyone at the same time, remember, Gurbani is not just meant for scholars and masses. I mean, it's meant for masses. And when something is meant for masses, ਕੋਈ ਕਿਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਵਿਵਾਦ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, but generally speaking, we have to apply the KISS principle, which is keep it simple, stupid, right? So the idea, otherwise, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਰੇ PhDs ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਦੇ ਪੰਡਿਤ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਆ ਗਿਆ, ਤੁਮ ਕਵਨ ਕੋ ਮਤ ਤੁਮ ਲਾਗੇ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ. So yes, because we are discussing because ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਤੇ ਪੁਰਾਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ 500 ਸਾਲ ਪੁਰਾਣਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈ ਰਿਹਾ, but at the same time ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਰਾ ਵਿਚਾਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ eventually we have to simplify. So technically ਜਿੰਨੀ ਕੁ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਆ, na is also naam, which is nav, which is what Veerji was saying earlier.
Thank you. So
ਇਸ ਲਾਈਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਾਖਿਆ ਪਾਓ ਅਪਾਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਇਆ ਨਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ, ਇਹ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇਹ ਭਾਵਨਾ ਦੇ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਸਮਝਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਵੈਂਚੁਅਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਉਹ ਡਿਵੈਲਪ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਆ at that level. ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗਸ which are essentially cognitive in our case today, then they fall apart if there is no language of love.
Absolutely. Point well taken here. Now, Ripudaman Singh, that was a question you had raised, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I hope you've gotten some answer back, and if not, I know that you seem to have an interest in the grammar of Gurbani. If I may sort of put in a plug here, Sikhi has come out with an excellent companion kind of guide for the language and grammar of Gurbani, and I would urge you to perhaps look at that in your spare time.
Yes, Vijay, actually I already have it.
There you go then.
Yeah.
I thought I would make that plug. But I think it would be useful for those who have that interest, and I think that is one way to engage. Although, to Harinder's point, we shouldn't get caught up in it. At the end of the day, it is experiential, and Pavna di Gal, as he's saying very rightly, cognitive abilities, understanding ਕਿਸੇ ਹੱਦ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਰੇ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਾ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਚਰਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, direct relationship ਬਣਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ. And to your point, Harinder, ਭਾਖਿਆ ਪਾਰ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ actually ਹੋਈ ਸੀ. The tendency that we have in our discussions is that we are looking for prescriptions, basically, which is why we are constantly going to questions like ji amrit vela keda waqt hai. So you will find this question surface again and again, because I think at some level we are all looking for somebody to prescribe a way to us, and unfortunately this is not a prescription. So we did talk about Pakhya Par. Does anybody else want to add to this particular thread of discussion? If I've missed anybody out here.
I have a question for Harinder Viji, in case, since he's here. If you allow me, I can ask a question to Harinder Viji. Is that okay?
Sure.
Harinder Viji, I have a feeling that I think you mentioned that also when you explained the word Amrit. To me, Amrit has a little bit more roots in it, and since you are very well qualified on that, and you take etymology as your base, I am trying to understand Amrit as a an mein rat. An is the one part, and rat means that is drenched, imbued in. So to me, Amrit is a combination of the immortal Creator Lord and His Naam, and they are blended so nicely into each other. Again, that Pakhya Pao is again that language I will use. They are so much into with each other. Do you think this kind of understanding from Amrit is also, or it has some violations of some rules?
ਗੱਲ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਰੂਲ ਕਿਹਨੇ ਬਣਾਇਆ? ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹੀ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪਪੂਲਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਇਵੈਂਚੁਅਲੀ ਉਹ ਰੂਲ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ. ਦੇਖੋ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਐਟਮੋਲੋਜੀ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ, ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੈ ਅੰਨ ਤੋਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਕਰਨਾ. ਸੋ ਲੈਟ ਮੀ ਗੋ ਟੂ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਸੰਪਰਦਾਇ ਜਨਰਲੀ ਆਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਟਕਸਾਲ ਲੀਡ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਬਟ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਈਵਨ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੇਮ ਫਰਮ ਦੈਟ ਸੰਪਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜੀ. ਸੋ ਉਹ ਜਦ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਲਾ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਨਾ, ਮੈਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਟੇਢੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ. ਉਹ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਲੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹ ਸਮਾਂ ਜੋ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਤੁਲ ਰਸਾਦਿਕ ਦੇ ਅਮਰ ਪਦਵੀ ਵੱਲ ਲੈ ਜਾਣ ਲਈ ਉਪਯੋਗੀ ਹੈ. ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਪਦ ਰਾਤ ਦੇ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਪਹਿਰ ਲਈ ਸੰਕੇਤ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ. ਸੋ he also didn't get into the etymology. I also looked at his dictionary ਤੇ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੀ, ਜਿੰਨੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਐਂਗਲ ਤੋਂ ਆ, ਬਟ ਹੋਰ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ we can have varieties of that. But I am biased toward ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ a bit, ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਐਂਗਲ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਉਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਣ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ. ਇਟਸ ਮੋਰ, ਉਹ ਸੰਕੇਤ ਵਰਡ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ. ਸੋ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਕੁਡ ਬੀ what you presented. ਇਹ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੇ ਵਾਰੀ ਮੈਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਵੇਰੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਸੁਣੀਆਂ ਨੇ. So it can be one of them, but I haven't seen that at a dictionary level.
Okay, thanks Vijay, thank you.
Sure.
Ravinder Singh ji, can I ask one question?
Hanji, by all means. I meant to come to you.
I think we did not cover this line, I think, last time, and I still am not 100% clear on Karmi Ave Kapda Nadri Mok Duar. I understand from the Sahib Singh ji and by Harban Singh ji, but if we can take one round on this line, what exactly is meant by Karmi Ave Kapda? So which Karam are we talking about? What is Kapda is our body and soul, and Nadri Mok Duar. So what is the Mok Duar?
ठीक है जी. I think that is a very valid, very fair question. So we'll open up the discussion. Dilpreet Singh, I'll go to you first.
Hanji Vijay, it is a continuation of that line, that Amrit Vela Sach Now Vadiyai Vichaar. So if we do that, and if we put effort into that, I think it is emphasizing that once we do that and we put our effort into that, and that is how and then by the grace of Vaheguru, we will get an understanding of Vaheguru, and then the next line explains that what type of understanding we will get. So again, Amrit Vela Sach Now Vadhyai Vichar, it is telling us that it is the first thing we have to do, or the most important thing we have to do, or we have to start our day by doing Vichar, and then if Karmi Ave Kapda means a karam sanu karna pavega by, if we put effort and then we get the by his grace. Or when I say this is a framework, then this is the, if we put this input, and this is telling us that by putting this input, this is the output we will get, and then the next line explains that what is the understanding of that output, that we will get an understanding that Paramatma sarv vyapak hai te har jagah par poor hai. Thank you ji.
Thank you, Dilpreet. You raised some good points, and before we get to follow-up questions, let me ask Charan Singh Veerji if he wants to add to that. You have about, if you can keep your answer to about a minute or less. We've got time constraints.
I think the second line is the answer to the first line, Nanak eve janiye sab ape sachar, because in the first line, Guru Sahib has said it is the karmi, it is he himself is dressed as what we see ourselves in the physical form, and he himself is the brings an understanding where he gets into the mukti, like मोक्ष द्वार ਉਹਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਲੈਂਦਾ, ਉਹ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ, ਆਪ ਹੀ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਆਪੇ ਆਪ ਹੈ, ਰਾਈਟ, ਆਪ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਜਦਾ, ਆਪ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਵਡਿਆਉਂਦਾ, ਆਪ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਚਾਰਦਾ, ਆਪ ਹੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਖ ਦੁਆਰ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ, and that's how it's all by him. There's nothing else other than him. That's precisely what Nanak wants to say through this body.
Thank you, Ji. Harinder Singh Ji, do you want to add to this? I mean, specifically, the clarity that I think Harinder is asking for is, is there a specific karam that is being referred to? I think Dilpreet alluded to that a little bit, but if you can kind of elaborate a little bit on that.
I mean, quickly, ਜਿਹੜੀ conventional wisdom, क्योंकि ये मेरे लिए भी interesting line हैगी है. So conventional wisdom is saying that karmi here is referring to deeds, that, and what most kathavachaks, including by from my primary sources, ਜਿਹੜੇ stalwarts हैगे ने, they're all saying because of your past deeds you have this body. But the past deeds are not enough to get you the salvation or freedom, and for that you need another, which is grace. That's what they are saying. But the question I'm raising is, how do we decide that karam here is the Sanskrit karam and not the Persian? And when do we decide another is only Persian? Because karam in Perso-Arabic language also means grace. So the alternative, which I think makes more sense with the overall thesis of Gurbani, that with the grace you get this body, and with grace you get freedom, is what I subscribe to.
Thank you. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Let me go to Puneet Singh. Are you there? And would you like to comment on that?
I'm sorry, I just joined right now. I got a phone call, so I had to. When you called my name earlier, so I didn't listen to the last.
Okay, fair enough. We'll move on to Ripu Daman Singh.
Yeah.
Hanji, so Karmi Ave Kapda, again through the grace, you get the Sift Salada Kapda, which is Vadhyai Vichar, right? And then again through grace you get the Mokh Dwar, which I'm assuming is becoming one with Vaheguru. That's the interpretation that at least Manu took the. But I again want to actually emphasize one fact here, that to me Guru Granth Sahib Ji has a principle of extreme redundancy. So the same thing is said in so many ways over and over and over again. And probably as we move ahead and read more and more, which most of you already do, the meaning so to speak, emerges, right? So dono matlab karmi karam da matlab ya karmi sif salah da matlab, or rather grace da matlab dono tukde ne. Just like such in the beginning was soch was vicharna ya soch was cleansing, and throughout we see these dual or triple meanings coming about, but kind of Gurbani di Kaswati, which all of them become fine. So if you're not too strict about it. So.
Theek hai ji. Thank you, Harvinder. How do you think you have a little more clarity on your question?
I think because ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ established versions ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ Professor Sahib Singh ਜਾਂ ਹਰਬੰਸ ਸਿੰਘ ਜਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ, I think most of like ਉਹ ਇਹੀ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ because of our past deeds we get this body, and then right now this is the time to become one with Vaheguru. So now I think this and then when we were discussing this, that I like the version of what Harinder Virji said, that I think this is both from grace, that because of the grace we got the what we say Manukha Janam, and due to the grace this is our chance to meet with the Vaheguru. So I think but as you said that everyone interpret, understand or something took the gal different तरीके नाल. So I think to me वो ज़्यादा टुक रही हैगी है rather than the past deeds. And जिन्होंने लिखा है भाई साहिब सिंह या भाई वीर सिंह ने, उन्होंने भी काफ़ी रिसर्च की होएगी, and then I think as we move forward सानू I think ਹੋਰ clarity मिलेगी. So then ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ कि last line नानक एवे जानिए सब आपे सचियार. So is this the synopsis of the whole body, or this is the just the continuation of this line karmi aave of the war?
Okay, so that's a follow-up question for the panel. The last line, Nanak eve janiye sab aap pe sachiyaar.
So ਇਹਦੇ ਚ ਮੈਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇਨਪੁਟ ਦੇ ਦਵਾਂ ਜੇ. So ਜਿਹੜਾ the way it's structured ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ, ਇੱਥੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਜੀ so ਇਹ ਵਹਿ ਜਾਣੀਏ ਹੈਗਾ. So ਇਹ ਜਾਣ ਲਈਦਾ ਹੈ, ਮਤਲਬ this is to be recognized based on what has been just covered, and if we follow karmi is grace and nadri is grace, ਫਿਰ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੀ clear ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ last line that now Nanak the person says let's understand this, ਕਿ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਗਿਆਨ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਹੀ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਆਪ ਆ. So now deed ਦਾ question ਤਾਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਜੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਹੀ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਆਪ ਹੀ ਆਪ ਆ. So anyway, ਇਹ line ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ if you have understood the previous lines and we have followed it, ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ cognitively, emotionally ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੂੰ experience ਵੀ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਜੂਗਾ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ dichotomy ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿ ਗਈ, ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਰੱਬ ਹੀ ਕਰਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਹੀ ਕਰਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਹੀ ਕਰਾ ਰਿਹਾ.
Thank you. I think that is indeed a very valid point. Because at the end of the day, Guru Nanak Sahib, we can't tu karta sachiyar menda sai. Again, the same thoughts being expressed there. Sab kuch ohi karan kran wahan hai. So we are running out of time. We are over 9. The time is a little past 9 o'clock, and I know we had some trouble starting, but I think people have to drop off, including me. I'm going to allow the panel maybe 30 seconds each if they want to just make any comments, final comments. Charan Singh Virji.
Yeah, as Reynolds have very rightly said, Nanak eve janiye sab ape sachiyaar. If we take this reflection, and if we have not been able to conclude up till this level that it is sab kuch ape aap, then probably we need to go and reread all the 4 bodies and arrive at this pankti, and that validates that if we have not arrived at this conclusion so far, then we need to reflect more on that. So I think I agree with that.
Thank you, Ji. Hanji, Ripudaman Singh Ji, final comments?
Actually, everything's been said. Thank you very much, Ravinder Ji.
Thank you. Harinder Singh, do you have any final comment to add?
No, Ji. Thanks.
Hanji, thank you. Dilpreet Singh Ji.
Hanji Virji, see, again where I struggle is with the word grace, because grace is being taken literally in our community today, and everybody is touching somebody's feet or giving money or doing all these things to get the grace, and most of the effort in Sikhi today is being put into gaining the grace from others and not putting any effort into learning or doing or practicing Sikhism. So the way I see this is that Guru Nanak's message is very clear that we have to put our effort into it, then only we will get the grace. This grace is not going to come without putting any effort.
Thank you. You make an interesting point. I hope I haven't omitted anybody here, but just as a quick conclusion to this discussion, obviously there are no final answers. There are more questions and more will come up. But I think this whole notion of grace and trying to acquire grace through intermediaries that Dilpreet is talking about is something that we should come back to and discuss. Because I think we also may have some mistaken notions, perhaps, or misconceptions of what grace is, because we are using terminology from another system. But that said, I want to thank all of you again for your participation. An excellent discussion that we've had. We will converge again on Saturday at 12 Eastern Standard Time. And at that time, Arvinder, are we moving on to the fifth party?
I think so. I think we spent already 2 sessions on this thing. So if everyone agrees, then we can move to next party. I know at some point in future we may have to come back and revisit these topics as we learn more, and then we want to revisit. But for now, I think we may be able to move forward as if everyone agrees.
So if someone disagrees, raise your voice. Otherwise, we will move to the fifth party. Okay, fifth party it is on Saturday. Fateh Parwan Karni ji, Vaheguru ji ka Khalsa,
Vaheguru
ji ki Fateh.